Hello, everyone. This is Darla Williams here with Bridging the Gap to Connections. Today, I am featuring Sandra Dee Robinson. Let me go ahead and read to you her amazing bio. I could not memorize it. I tried, but she has such an extensive work and everything else that's absolutely amazing. You're going to absolutely adore who this woman is, and I can't wait for you to get a chance to learn more about her. Too much to her surprise, the media has labeled Sandra Dee Robinson as a charisma coach. After years of working with business owners, experts, and celebrities to perfect their presentation and on-camera skills. I guess the title fits, but so does soap opera actress, author, TV host, podcast host, international speaker, trainer, and dog and horse fanatic. Oh, and let's add, wife to the renowned Hollywood stuntman. Yep, never a dull moment. Sandra Dee founded Charisma on Camera performance coaching in 2010, and in 2019 began Unbridled Life Retreats, her nature-based getaway for high-level professionals where they can transform their self-leadership by partnering with horses. Come on, guys. Now you can see why I could not remember everything, because she has an extensive work. So without any further ado, let me go ahead and introduce to you Sandra Dee Robinson. Hi, Sandra Dee. I have a question for you.
Hey.
The first question,
Yes.
off the gate. Can you share with us just a little bit about you? Just you as a person.
Yeah. The charisma coach title, I laughed at first because I thought, oh my gosh, that's so corny. I mean, it literally popped up. I was doing an interview. It was in Tampa, Florida. And when I watched the interview back after it was aired, they had the little bottom third and it said charisma coach. I was like, that's so corny. And I never, ever would have thought growing up that that would be me. But I also didn't have any idea who I really was, as a lot of people can say the same thing growing up. So I grew up in an area that was, at the time, it's different now, but at the time, nobody was attached to show business. I didn't know anybody that did anything like that. But I said I wanted to be an actress. And I think because I was always kind of told at home, actually wasn't told much. How can I put this? It was a critical household. And my mother kind of didn't want me around. So I was always focused on either disappearing or coming home with great grades and trying to be perfect. So it was one of those two scenarios: be perfect or don't be there. And so when I discovered acting in school, which is why I'm a huge fan of arts programs in schools, please do not defund them. That was where I realized, hey, I could stand in front of people and be seen. It wasn't me. It was whatever character I was playing. That little wonderful gift of imagination, which was honed so well because of how I grew up at home, is actually what propelled me into my first career, which for years I worked as an actor. And I started in front of the camera when I was 11, got my first national show at 18. So I was very lucky to work in an industry that a lot of people don't maintain steady work. Honestly, it's very brutal. I was very fortunate, and I got to go from show to show to show. I have great experiences, great lessons. And I also was propelled into my personal journey aside from that, which was I still believed that I wasn't worthy of being heard. So I had a fan following. This is why I teach what I do, why the charisma coach thing now I now own, because I used to call it powerful personal presence, and that's what I would teach. And I did not have that. I was recognized as an actress, and I would show up in somebody's home every single day on TV. But if you handed me a microphone at a charity event and told me to say something, I would almost literally black out. I would have to hand the microphone off and I'd be shaking and I couldn't speak. And it was definitely not powerful by any means. So that journey of finding out what was quote unquote broken, there was nothing broken at all,
Exactly.
but to find out what was really going on was not a journey of skills and presentation abilities. It was actually the journey from the inside out. And kind of very similar to how you are, Darla, when you work with people. It's a journey from the inside out. It's not act as if. That'll take you so far, but I know it won't take you the full way. The journey, the work from the inside out is actually what enables me to take somebody to the point where they love themselves enough and they think that they are just little rock stars. And then I put the presentation skills on top of it. And that is actually what creates the charisma brand for that person. I think we all have charisma. It's just different. You know, you may call it an it factor, but it's different for every person. So the it factor for an actor on the screen is very different than the it factor for the insurance guy that you're going to hire because you trust him implicitly.
Exactly.
But they each have it.
So yeah. You know that you have it because the it factor, as we called it, the it, you have
yes.
It. And that's why with that charisma, with that energy, that ability to connect, that's really where it's coming from. That charisma allows you to build up that space of enthusiasm that other people are drawn to. So
it's about connection. It's about connection. You're absolutely right.
It's all connection. And because you're able to do that, you know, that really goes along with what you're doing. When you're trying to, so tell us a little bit, you know, not give your secrets away. You know, obviously they need to come to you for your service. However, can you give someone maybe a little tip on, you know, camera, like how?
Yeah, well, I can. I think one of the most important things, and it's interesting because I got something and I just feel like I need to speak to it. When we mentioned connection, you know, talking with you before we got on here, connection for a lot of people, especially the ones that may follow you, Darla, this is why I think it popped into my mind to say something. Connection for a lot of people is not a comfortable place. It's not a comfortable thing to connect with other people. It wasn't for me. I had a really hard time as myself, not as a character on TV, as an actor, but as myself. I had a very difficult time looking at a stranger in the eye and starting a conversation. That wasn't safe. That was not a safe place. So the work that comes from doing the inside stuff and then working on the outside stuff, that is what actually enables people to have that connection. So it's not a matter of putting your shoulders back and walking up to somebody. I mean, there's a piece of that, sure. But in doing the same thing on camera, you know, yeah, I can show you how to stand. I can show you how to use your voice. I can show you how to angle your body to look thinner and all of these wonderful little tricks. But what's really going to come across is if you speak from the heart. And that means learning that vulnerability is not a bad thing.
Thank you. That is really, honestly, that was probably the best piece of information I've ever heard anyone actually say when it comes to the connection through camera or through any connection in general. Yeah. I'm good at connecting with anybody. I walk through the store, whatever, I meet people. And I know that for you being in your line of work, you probably don't always have that interaction with people like the same way because you've had a lot of more separated circumstances. How much in your line of work did that actually put you in a place where you were afraid to connect because of your stardom?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I've had different, it almost seems like different lives sometimes, doesn't it? When we can look back over our careers and the things that we've done. And there was a time when if I was playing a character that was particularly the soap operas, I love soap opera fans. They're wonderful. That was the time, though, because I was showing up in somebody's living room every single day, that a lot of times I would be fearful of somebody that would walk up to me because I had experiences where that reality was blurred for the other person. I'm trying to figure out how I can put this nicely. So it would get a little hairy a couple of times, you know, either at events or even with strangers in the street or outside the studio or something like that. So there is, I think, for somebody that is seen, that has a platform that is very public, there is that sense. And I've worked with people that have had similar experiences, and there is that. But more important than that are the people that I do connect with. The people that really, sometimes that's the only moment that they would have ever meeting somebody that they thought was famous. And if I was a jerk about it, what is that going to mean for them? I
Exactly.
mean, and I don't mean to sound like I'm putting myself on a high, level. I'm just saying that I see that now with my husband. My husband's a stuntman. He's doing horror cons, the horror conferences, because he played some significant roles in horror films. And anyway, the point is, we're not going to go there because they scare the crap out of me. I can't watch horror films. But he sees that. He sees that with people that walk up and want him to sign posters or whatever. They'll share a story and he realizes, oh my gosh, this film meant something to them in their personal journey. And sometimes we're working on something that means something to someone else. It could be a book if you're an author, it could be a program that you've created if you're a coach. It could be something that you've been working on that you realize has made a difference in someone else's life. And meeting you is a big deal. It's a big deal to them. And so I had to realize that and kind of work on my shyness, if you want to call it that.
Okay.
And be able to say, okay, I'm gonna stand in this place and I'm gonna honor this person. I can actually share one of the things that I learned from a co-star, because I did not grow up in a home that hugged. Now I've gotten over my hug thing. I'm fine with hugging. But at the time, I didn't want somebody touching me. It's a whole, like, not everybody's okay with that, right? At the time, I was not okay with that. And fans wanted to come up and get all over you. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And she goes, oh, sweetie. She goes, just walk up to them. I go, walk up to them. She goes, yeah, you walk up to them and put your hand out and go, hi, nice to meet you. And I realized if you put your hand out, they can't hug you.
You gave the distance. You gave them permission to have distance. I need distance. I need respect. And that's great.
But she said, walk up to them. I'm like, walk up to them. What? Just no. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't need to hide. I don't need to run away from them. I just need to set that distance. And now, like I said, I've gotten over that. I'm fine hugging most people, but it was very funny. Something so freaking simple. And isn't that how some of the best tools that we ever experience in this journey of life can be? They're the simplest things that you go, oh my gosh. Yeah.
That is so awesome. I love that. But you were really learning at that point your own personal boundaries and your own personal space, and you didn't know that yet. And that's what that was. It literally was having that space. What what a memory. What a memory
Right?
that came forward, that said, hi, look, I remember this. Now, I have a question. The next one I have for you is in regards to your passion behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in all of the stuff you've done that's led you down this long path that brought you to this pivotal moment where now you are doing the charisma coaching and helping people to get on camera, coming all the way down from everything else you've done. And now you're at this plateau because now it's like a build up to this space, to everything. What is your passion now? What is the piece that fuels you? And builds that fire within.
Yeah. For me, it's seeing somebody that I think most of us can identify that has been put down at some level. And I know we talked about trauma. It could be big T, could be little t. And sometimes it's even just a little t. It's something that somebody said to you years ago that made you go, oh, it's not safe to speak up. And that sits there even once you become successful in business. You can start your own company. You can be leading people. You can be leading teams from the outside. Maybe you have nice cars. You've got a great life going on that other people would look at and go, that's amazing. But you know that there's something more for you. But stepping into it doesn't feel good because there's that time way back there where you decided I shouldn't be seen. And that seeing that get set free in somebody is very addicting. It's very addicting as a coach because all of a sudden I can even just do a simple branding assessment with them, a personal branding assessment. We use archetypes. It's fun. But all of a sudden they realize, oh my gosh, I'm a ruler. I help people get through things, right? Or I'm a joker. I make people laugh. And sometimes the things that people are most drawn to about us, we don't even realize that that's a gift. And so showing somebody what their gift of attraction actually is empowers them to be able to go, oh, so I can be seen. I can be heard. I can stand up and say what my thoughts are and share my message. And that to me is such a door opening experience to see somebody go through that I know for myself how it feels. And I love to see somebody else go through that too.
So that brings me to my next question. If someone was looking for Sandra Dee right now and needed some help in their arena, what is that part of you that they can connect to, that they're going to know that you are the person they're looking for today?
You mean you're talking about the way that I work, right? Definitely a positive reinforcement. So I train my dogs a lot. And we talk a lot about positive reinforcement versus negative and punishment, all that kind of stuff. And it can't all be positive. I mean, there are times that you have to be able to even say, if you're talking about dogs in particular, there have to be boundaries set. Right. You can't get up on the sofa. 2 months later, my German Shepherds will argue that point, but I still say, nope, reset the boundary, can't get up on the sofa. So that's a negative reinforcement. But I think working with me it's a positive reinforcement. And I say that because it's this emotionally safe environment. I've worked with plenty of coaches of various types over my careers. And yes, the critical coaches, the ones that are hard on you, that push you, that say the things that break you down, definitely have a place of respect in teaching me in my journey. But the ones that actually allowed me to love myself, which was my core issue, were the ones that said, look, this is a good thing. You did good here. And not saying you did good here. Like, is it the movie American Pie, where the mother says, I watched you do your routine, honey, and you didn't screw up once. That was about as nice as flattery as I could get growing up from my family. Right. So I joke about that, but for me, it's not. It's actually shining the light on what somebody has done. Even if it was a small improvement, just go, that's it. That's where we're going. That's where you should be. You're headed in the right direction. And as soon as somebody knows they're headed in the right direction, I think that progress is exponential after that. So
I think so too. I think that that's beautiful, and what that passion behind it, being able to give that back. So really hearing that from my point of view, from hearing what you just said, and those out there listening to this, you guys, what she's really wrapping that up in a little, synopsis of what she's saying is, what she really knows. She knows what it feels like to not have that positive reinforcement. And she really wants to be able to hand that to you so that you can grow. And the more she can pour that on you, the bigger you're going to grow and get in life, because we all need to be filled up. So she is definitely bringing the positivity to you in a healthy way. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, I think if I can bring that positivity to the way we are looking at the work together, then I'm a successful coach when they can actually start to see things with their own positive perspective, to look at themselves in a video, let's just say, or in an interview or in any live conversation, and look back and go, I did good there. I handled that well. That is when I feel like the job is complete, where they can then go off and represent themselves, knowing that they have everything that they need. I know they have everything they need when they come to me, but they don't see that yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So you help them to identify what it is, to help them to get where they're going.
Yeah, 100%.
Beautiful. Now, I think that I want to actually let you plug in right here. If anybody's listening in and you got to go or whatever, and you want to know right now, how do you reach Sandra Dee? How do they reach you?
Yeah, that's easy. I mean, there's social media. You can always search me by my name, but Instagram, LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn a lot. Facebook, Coach Sandra Dee Robinson, and then SandraDeeRobinson.com. And that's spelled out Sandra Dee, like the character from Greece. SandraDeeRobinson.com. You can always find me there and find that whatever masterclass or group class or new thing that I have going on, it's usually right at the top there on my site. And there's a contact page on there too. So you can always find me. And I do my best to keep up on all those messages on different platforms. So yeah.
Awesome. And before we let them all go, can you give them a moment with you? Just what would you like to impart to those who are listening?
You know, working through my own journey and working with my clients from where they didn't want to be seen and heard to those people that I have had the opportunity to interview that are A-list celebrities and athletes and all of that. Everybody wants to be seen and heard. So if you have difficult people that are around you, they want that too. If you can find somebody that helps you to be seen and heard, then that's only going to empower you. But realize that if you run into somebody that is famous in some way, even if you think in your field they're famous, they may not be a household name, but you think, oh, they're really up there. Find out who they really are. Like with genuine curiosity, which is the key to every conversation. Find out who they really are. Don't walk up to somebody and said, oh, I loved your book. You know, walk up and go do a little work on them and find out what intrigues you about their person. And walk up and don't be afraid to ask, hey, I heard you're really close to your father. I did this once with an author, and he was throwing a party at his house. And I said, you know, I'm just curious what inspired you to get to this level of success. I said, I know you were really close to your dad. Was he still something that plays over for you, like on a daily basis when you're making decisions? He sat me down right there in the middle of the party, and people were walking by going, why is he talking to her?
Right?
Because that was something that was very close to him. And I asked to see him, not how'd you get all the stuff, right? Can I have your autograph? All of that's lovely, but to really see somebody takes a little effort.
That is beautiful, what you just imparted. Everyone, this is Bridging the Gaps with Darla Williams and Sandra Dee Robinson today. And we're looking forward to seeing you in the future. Make sure you tap in and check in with her and go add and like and subscribe to Sandra Dee. All right. Thank you. Bye for now.